Supreme Week 18 drops this Thursday, July 2nd, and this is the first week back in store for a lot of their locations, possibly all their locations that are still closed. They released a ton of different restrictions or guidelines that need to be followed. People have to wear masks inside. I think there's stuff about the line outside, though it'll be interesting to see whether or not those regulations or those guidelines that they put out are met, especially the line outside. That being said, we don't have a full drop list at the time of shooting this video. We just have the seasonal tees, which are a collection of 8 tees. They're the summer tees, and then we also have 2 accessories that have also been announced to be dropping, so I'll go over those at the end. And then if we do get the full drop list while I'm editing the video, I'll throw that up at the very end, but just keep that in mind. I will only be going over the seasonal tees. To start things off, we have the Motion Logo tee. This is obviously a pretty well-known Supreme logo or design. We just recently had this on hoodies, and then also several years ago we saw this first surface. I think it was in somewhat different colorways than we're seeing now. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to this design. It just says Supreme, and then it's staggered a bunch and faded to give it kind of that motion blur effect or aesthetic to it. That being said, I do like this design. I think it's cool. This was also on beanies, though I don't think the beanies really translated that well, just because I want to say part of the Supreme spell out itself, the main focused one, was embroidered, which didn't really work that well. It was kind of jarring against the rest of the design that wasn't necessarily embroidered. So I do like the screen printed version more. I think these tees look cool. Hard to go wrong with any of the colorways, really, just because it's so basic, so they work well together. And this will have high resale if you're trying to resell. Though, I don't know, in general, I think resale's dying down a bit. This item will have some hype. It'll be hard to cop, obviously, and it'll be worth it if you get your hands on it and want to get rid of it. Next up, we have the Lizard tee, and it's got this fuzzy Supreme spell out, and if you look closer, it looks like some hedges or some shrubbery that has been clipped into the Supreme spell out, and then on top you have this lizard, this little gecko, iguana, holes, Shia LaBeouf looking thing, and then underneath there's something red sticking out. I couldn't really tell what it was even when I looked close up at it, but I'll also say I think they've done this same spell out before where it was this kind of fuzzy stuff, but I think they did it with different colored, so it didn't look like grass or it didn't look like hedges. I thought it was in a purple, or maybe it was in different colors. I can't exactly remember what it was, but they've done a very similar spell out recently. But yeah, I think this is a cool tee. It's a little wacky, with the lizard and stuff, but it'll be interesting to see some of the colorways just because of the green going with some stuff, and then the lizard as well might not stand out as well against some other backgrounds. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of matchups they come up with, and then also if they change the color of that Supreme spell out. Next up, you have the unknown Damini Tee. You have the Supreme spell out. It says unknown Damini, established in New York City, spring summer 2020. I think this is a pretty basic tee. If you're gonna go for something like this, I like the classic logo a little bit more than something, say, using this font. And other than that, there's not a whole lot to be said. It's pretty basic, but once again, just because it's so basic, it's kind of hard to complain about it. They could have added something more, but with these seasonal tees, it's kind of cool if when they're more wearable, just because these are the cheaper tees. I think they're coming in at $38 still, unless they have raised the price. I don't know. Supreme's been doing that for a while, but a decent tee, nothing crazy in my opinion. Next up, we have the Marble tee, which makes use of this circular font or this circular spell out that just says Supreme against a marbled background on the back, and then on the front you just have the font, or you just have the text with no background on it. I think this one, once again, kind of similar to the last tee we just looked at. Nothing really crazy or standoutish for it, but there's also nothing really that ruins it for me. So an alright seasonal tee, I guess. Moving on, we have the Social tee, which is just a social security card. It says Supreme across the top, and then it says politics as usual, along with some other kind of riffs on what the card actually says. And this is a social security card. If you guys have seen it before, the design matches up pretty well, obviously. That's what they were going for. I think it'll be interesting to see some of the other colorways. I don't think some of the other colorways will really stack up, just because, I don't know, you can't really change the color of the social security card. I don't think there's any other colors. I think it's just kind of that blue. So some of the other colorways might not work as well. And kind of a theme with this round of seasonal tees, it's just kind of it's nothing crazy. It's all right, but not a bad tee, just not a great tee either. So moving on, we have the Mr. Worldwide, the Mr. 305, the Pitbull Tee. It's just a picture of a pit bull, and and it says Supreme below it, kind of in like a sketch or like a graffiti font almost. And it's kind of interesting how they do the cropping. They, instead of just having like a hard crop on the bottom, they crop it with the spell out, which I do appreciate. I'm not a crazy fan of when they'll just do like a hard cutoff. I'm not crazy about that, but this is an alright design. I think some colorways, once again, are obviously going to work better than others. This camo one is kind of strange, but this on a white background would be cool. I think that'd look a little bit better. So moving on, this could be argued as an Ichi the Killer collaboration, just as much as the 2 seasons ago, I think, could have been argued that there was a Christopher Walken King of New York collaboration. But yeah, we have 2 tees coming in, one long sleeve and then one short sleeve. The first one is the Ichi the Killer long sleeve. This is based on the movie from 2001, I think it was, early 2000s regardless. And I haven't seen the movie, but I'm guessing this is Ichi on the front of the long sleeve. Then below you have Ichi the Killer. And then on the sleeve you have an interesting font that they've used that I haven't seen before. Maybe they've used it before, but it's definitely not one that is used frequently by them. And then on the back you have a giant number 1. Once again, not exactly sure of the significance of that, just because I have not seen the movie myself. But this is alright. I think they could have done something a little bit cooler on the back. Kind of like the Killer collaboration that they had a while back. They had like a big quote from it. Maybe something like that would have been cool. But yeah, other than that, I do like it. I think it looks cool. Rounding it out with the last tee, we have the split tee, and this is once again another Ichi the Killer tee. The front graphic is just a dude literally getting split in half. His head's falling apart. I think there's some like stuff connecting in between, some juices. And then on the back you have a graphic content warning for Ichi the Killer. And you know, maybe something like this would have been cool on the long sleeve. Something with like a little more text, just big number 1. But yeah, I don't like this one as much. The front graphic is interesting, I guess, but like aesthetically it's not very pleasing to me. I'm not really trying to walk around with a dude getting his head split in half on my chest. But that wraps up the seasonal tees. And then for accessories, we have the Supreme Shed Rain Transparent Checkerboard Umbrella, which is a mouthful but a cool umbrella, or a cool accessory nonetheless. And I think they were saying this is supposed to come in at a really low retail. I thought it was supposed to be like $38 or something, which if it is, that price is gonna be cool. Have some decent resale, I would imagine, coming in that cheap. But yeah, you just checkerboard, and every now and then you have a Supreme spell out going against a couple of the checkers. I think just 2, but a cool umbrella nonetheless, even if you're not trying to resell. Moving forward, the next accessory, or the last item we will cover, is the Serape blanket. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I guess these are hand woven in Mexico. Obviously, looking at it, you can see that Mexico aesthetic, or kind of that style, prominent in the colorways and how it's like kind of color blocked. But yeah, I think this is alright. I feel like it'll probably be a little bit more on the expensive side and maybe not really worth it. I think they've come out with better blankets. Anyway, that's all we got for the tees and the drop list so far. Personally, I think it's a pretty like mediocre set of tees. Obviously, the Motion logo tee is pretty dope. Some other ones in there are alright, but usually it's like you got a couple good tees, or maybe a couple like middle tier tees, and then a lot of really bad ones. Personally, I feel like that's how the seasonal tees usually go, but I think all these ones are pretty like mediocre. They're like nothing really great, nothing really bad, except for, once again, you know, the Motion tees. I think the Motion logo tees, those will be good. But yeah, with that being said, let me know what you guys think of the seasonal tees. Are you gonna try to go for any of them? But yeah, thank you guys for watching as always, and I will catch you in the next video.